I'm David Lombardo, and this is WCNY's The Capitol Press Room, and we're joined in the studio by Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, the Republican nominee for governor. So you focused a lot of your time and energy on utility bills, and you've made the case for immediately diverting a few $1 billion earmarked for green energy projects to provide relief right now to taxpayers, or more specifically, ratepayers. In the long run, though, what would you like to do to ensure that we're, one, meeting the energy needs of the state, while also doing something to control maybe not just the costs, but actually maybe even lowering the costs to ratepayers?
Well, we can do that, but first of all, you have to have a common sense approach to energy production in our state. And mine is just very simple, all of the above. We should be looking at nuclear. I think we should be having some green energy, but not forced upon us, and not our sole source of energy. That doesn't make any sense. And hydro, geothermal. And of course, we're sitting on one of the largest natural gas reserves in the world right here in the southern tier of New York State. So why we're not drilling there is absolutely insane. So I can cut utility costs in half by opening up exploration and drilling of the Marcellus Shale, cutting out the excessive delivery charges in your utility bills, and by ending the green energy scam and also cutting the actual taxes on the utility costs. Even your utility bill is taxed. So 30% of your utility bill actually goes for energy. The rest goes for delivery charges, taxes, and the green energy scam. So I will end that, and we'll be able to cut our utility rates at least in half.
So the delivery side of thing that you reference is also in large part a product of investments that utilities are making in, say, their future. So how do you bring that down if you actually do want to make investments into the energy infrastructure of the state?
So we're talking about investments in green energy, which is probably the least efficient and most costly form of energy in New York State. Let's take upstate, for instance. A few weeks ago, I was at a solar farm that took up acres and acres of rich farmland. So, first of all, I think that's a bad idea. But second of all,
is the bad idea letting farmers use their land for that, or what's the problem?
It's a bad idea to have solar farms in upstate New York because, first of all, it's taking away rich farmland. And we need that. We need to feed the people in the state. We need to feed the people in this country. We need to feed people around the world. Agriculture is a big business in New York State, and we should be nurturing that. And once you give up that farmland, it's over for at least decades.
So do you feel like farmers shouldn't have the right then to do whatever they want on their land?
I think within reason, yes. I think they should have the right to do things within reason. But I don't think we should be spending huge subsidies to put energy on farmland that doesn't work. For instance, in the farm that I went to, it had been under snow for 3 months. So it wasn't producing any energy for 3 months. This is in Arizona. I went to college in Arizona. I went to Arizona State University. They have, 350 days of sunshine in Arizona, and they have deserts, not rich farmland, where they put these solar farms, and they make sense there. But they don't make any sense in upstate New York. It's a scam, just like these wind turbines out in the middle of the ocean. Why would you build something like that, 60-story highs in the middle of the ocean? It is the most costly form of energy production, and it's hurting our marine life. It's hurting commercial fishing. It's a really, really bad idea. So I'm not against green energy, but it has to make sense. And it certainly doesn't make sense to have solar farms in New York State. It's crazy.
What about the case that's made against fossil fuel development, which is right now, on the one hand, if you were trying to even get a gas turbine, you're going to have to wait years to even access one. And two, as we're seeing right now, there's real volatility in those markets.
Well, the years take the permitting. The permitting process in New York State.
Now to get a gas turbine,
the permitting process is impossible.
What I'm just saying right now, if you
New
want
York
that
State,
product,
that's one of the problems.
Right to you.
Excuse me?
If you're trying to buy a GE gas turbine tomorrow, they don't have one to sell you. So it seems like there are delays on that side of things regardless, and also just the volatility in the fossil fuel market.
It's supply and demand. Mm-hmm. If you have a need for the turbines, they'll build them, and you'll pay for them, and they'll get done. The fact of the matter is, I was down in Brooklyn a couple of weeks ago, and I was with the Energy Secretary, the Interior Secretary, our EPA Director, Lee Zeldin, and we were there because they were christening, so to speak, the Nassau pipeline.
Sure.
That's going to bring natural gas into the metropolitan area. They desperately need it there. Otherwise, we're going to have blackouts and we're going to have all kinds of problems with our grid. But here's the thing that was really, really annoyed me. The gas is coming from Pennsylvania. We have the same gas in New York. Why would we be buying gas from Pennsylvania? If you've ever been on the southern tier, you go one side of the border in Pennsylvania, people are driving around in brand new Cadillac Escalades. You go on the New York side of the border, people are poor. And there's no reason for that. We can drill ourselves in the southern tier, exploit that natural gas resource. The state will be more prosperous, and I mean the whole state, not just the southern tier. It'll be more prosperous in the state, and it'll bring down energy costs. It's all high school economics. It's not even college economics. Supply and demand. We have the demand. We know the demand's going to go up with AI and all these data centers that we're going to need in New York State. So we know the demand's going to increase. We're sitting on this huge natural gas reserve. It's just insane that we're not drilling, but we're buying gas from the same reserve, the Marcellus Shale, from Pennsylvania. Makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, sticking with the economics of it, though, we have a international market now for natural gas. So we've seen even the New York Independent System Operator suggest that even if we were to increase our localized natural gas supply, that wouldn't do anything to address the cost of natural gas given the size of this marketplace. So why would we potentially be able to access
I disagree with that. I think that's completely faulty thinking. Mm-hmm. If you increase the supply, the demand is always going to be there, but it's just simple. If you increase supply, the price is going to go down, because there'll be more out there. So the fact is that we need to increase supply. We need new energy sources, and it ain't green energy. Green energy is not going to produce the type of energy that we need to make this a vibrant place where we have economic development. There's got to be a reason why we're number 41 out of 50 states in economic development. It's high taxes, high utility costs, a regulatory environment that's unfriendly to business. If you want to make it more affordable in New York State, you got to put more money in people's pockets. You got to create the kind of jobs that young people will want to stay in this state. You got to create a vibrant and exciting economy like they do in Texas or Florida or South Carolina or Arizona. They don't do that here.
Well, sticking with the idea of affordability, if you become governor, you're going to inherit...
When I become governor?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll stick with if, though. But you're going to inherit a state law that says by 2032, New York needs to cut child poverty in half. And New York has made some incremental gains towards this goal in recent years.
No, they haven't. They're going in the wrong direction.
Well, the stats say the otherwise.
No, they don't. The
studies by the Urban Institute do say they've made incremental gains.
Well, that's the Urban Institute.
With child poverty. But let me finish the question.
Sure.
What do you think we could do then to make further strides on child poverty specifically?
Well, let's compare my report card with Kathy Hochul's report card, okay?
Well,
I've been county executive for 4 years.
I'm hoping you just talk more about prospective things that you'd want to do as governor.
I'm going to get to that.
Okay, we're running out of time then.
All right, that's all right. We could do another interview.
Okay.
So my county has the same demographics as the state, virtually mirror image of the state, okay? Same demographics. My poverty rate in my county is less than 5%. The poverty rate in New York State is 15%. Kathy Hochul hasn't moved that number at all in the 4 years that she's been governor, elected governor. She was governor for 5 years. But in the 4 years, this has become an unaffordable state because of Kathy Hochul. So prospectively, what I would do is create good jobs so people have money, not only for themselves, but for their family. And it ain't by taxing them, and it ain't by having high energy costs. Why are our energy costs 70% higher than the national average? Because Kathy Hochul is stubborn. She's stuck with green energy. She's stuck with this scam. She hasn't done anything to reduce your electric bill. In fact, she's done everything to increase it. So prospectively, she's not creating wealth. She's not creating economic development. Businesses are leaving here in droves. People are leaving in droves, and they're taking their money and they're taking their jobs with them. So I prospectively would be the kind of governor who creates economic development. I wouldn't spend $8 billion of our taxpayer money on illegal migrants who aren't even New Yorkers, not even Americans. They've been here for 15 minutes. They haven't earned a thing. And she gave away $8 billion in tax money that could have been used to cut taxes, could have been used to cut utility costs, could have been used for infrastructure, could have been used for hospitals, could have been used for schools, could have been used for New Yorkers. But she didn't do that. She is creating a state that is going in the wrong direction. Like I said, 41 out of 50 states, the once great empire state, her record is all Fs. She's had 4 years of doing nothing but creating misery for people. I will be a governor that creates happiness for people. I will put New Yorkers first. It'll be more affordable. People will have better jobs They'll have better income. They'll have better benefits. They'll have a healthier environment, and they'll have a safer environment because she's the most pro-criminal governor in the United States of America.
A lot there. On the child poverty front, it sounds like you're saying you think we can use the economy solely as a mechanism to raise people out of poverty.
That's the only way you can do it.
So you wouldn't support any sort of more targeted social programs?
I would use targeted economic development.
Okay.
I would look at the areas around this state that I've been traveling to where some of those communities are in total despair. They're unhappy because they don't have jobs for their kids. They don't have a future for their kids. That's why their kids are going to North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona, Florida, and Texas, because they don't have a future here. There's no opportunity. 41 out of 50 states in economic development. It's a national embarrassment.
Well, lastly, if you're elected governor, or when you're elected governor, you're likely, though, going to have Democratic majorities in both houses of the legislature. So as you look ahead at that first term in office, are there points of overlap where you think you could potentially work with the existing majorities?
Well, absolutely. The governor has a tremendous amount of power, and I will use that power as leverage. Mm-hmm. But also I understand that there are things that they're going to want. If I get some of what I want and they get some of what they want, we're not going to get everything we want. So it'll be a negotiation process. I've been in the private sector. I was a pretty good negotiator in the private sector. Listen, if people are of goodwill and they want to do good things for the state, then I think we'll be able to come to an accommodation. Certainly better than Kathy Hochul. I mean, here we are in the fifth week without a budget. If it goes past Friday, it'll be the longest budget process that we've had in this state since 2010. It's a disgrace. She's the head of the Democratic Party. She's the leader of this state. It's a Democrat majority in the Senate, Democrat majority in the Assembly, and she can't get it done. We need somebody who has a record as a chief executive. I run a county that's larger 8 states in population. I have the safest county in America, according to U.S. News and World Report. Haven't raised taxes a penny in 4 years. People are happy in my county. They're miserable in New York State.
Well, in terms of those powers that the governor has, one of the levers that this governor has not utilized is a provision of the Pataki v. Silver case that suggests that she could really be more aggressive with the policy that she puts into appropriation bills. It's kind of seen as like a nuclear option. Is that a lever you'd be willing to pull if we were at an intractable standoff over budget negotiations?
Listen, Kathy Hochul is not a leader. She's demonstrated that in the budget process.
So you'd be more likely to use that tool?
I would be more likely to use whatever power I had to get things done, to create economic prosperity, to make the state more affordable, to cut utility rates, to make it a safer state, and to be a state where people will want to come to rather than they want to leave now.
Well, we've been speaking with Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman. He is the Republican gubernatorial nominee. County Executive Blakeman, thank you so much for making the time and look forward to many more conversations.
I enjoy that. Thank you.
Support for the Capitol Press Room comes from O'Donnell & Associates, a public affairs firm providing strategic guidance to businesses and nonprofits on navigating policy and regulatory issues. More information is available at o'donnellsolutions.com.